Good morning to everybody. How you doing? Hope all's well. Keep up the beautiful work. Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach v'yitromam. Today is Wednesday, Parashat Emor. It's raining outside. They say rain in the month of Iyar is a beracha. Bezrat Hashem in America. In Israel, after Pesach, if it rains, it's not a good sign. But over here, Baruch Hashem, it should be beracha, and they should have beracha, and everyone should have beracha. The hostages should come home. The soldiers should go home. The people who need refuah shelemah should get refuah shelemah. And then yallah, the Mashiach should just come, and Bezrat Hashem, everything will be perfect, just like all you guys already are. Baruch Hashem. Long story short, we the other day was the yard site of Rabbi Meir Bal Hanes on Monday, Pesach Sheni, and we were going to just talk about him, but for logistical reasons, we had to postpone it to today, so here we are. Rabbi Meir Bal Hanes. They don't call everybody Bal Hanes, the miracle worker. Boy, did he know how to make miracles. Um, when we say the words Elakad Meir Anenu, right? Some say it refers to him, and Hamadia explains that he taught us how to say it. However, it means Meir, that Hashem is the one that's Meir et Enenu. Number one, a lot of times people who say when they lose something, and we should only have beracha in our lives, when they lose something, there's a prayer to say. It's first we say a midrash. The midrash is brought down in the story of Yishmael when his father had to ask him to leave the house. And Ishmael went with his mother Hagar, and they went in the desert, and they finished the water a little too soon. And in the middle of the desert, he was about to dehydrate and even pass away, and there was no water in sight, obviously. And she prayed to Hashem. She is the wife of Abraham, and she knows how to pray to Hashem. She prayed to Hashem, and Hashem answered her prayers. And when Hashem answered her prayers, a well in middle of nowhere just appeared, and she's like, "Whoa! I didn't see that. They thought it was a mirage, whatever it may have been." And she goes and she gives her son water, and he lives. Of course, it's a whole subject in itself. Ba'asher Husham, the way a person is at that moment, that's how Hashem judges them. The long story short, that item wasn't there, and all of a sudden it appeared. When somebody loses something and they say over that midrash, it's a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Binyamin who says this midrash. They say, Amar Rabbi Binyamin, Hakol b'cheskat sumin, Hatsheba Hashem, everything is hidden until Hashem opens our eyes to see it. And they bring the pasuk of Hagar with Yishmael, Min hacha vayifkach Elohim et eneha. And Hashem opened her eyes and she saw the well of water. And then they say, Elakad, they give tzedakah to Rabbi Meir in memory, Lilui Nishmat, Rabbi Meir Balanes, and they say Elakad Meir Anenu, and they say it 3 times, and it does wonders to say things. It's really not normal how so many people have stories by saying that. And it's like we said, it's in the merit also of Rabbi Meir Balhanes. There was a story a bunch of years ago, before all of you were born. In school, we were using the roll books. Shema Yisrael, how much red was in our roll book as kids, of course, with smiley faces, but they had roll books instead of computers. And many years ago, we had all the grades in the roll book, and all of a sudden it's the day of PTA, and I am missing my roll book. Imagine 40 mothers come for PTA that night. How's my son doing? To tell you the truth, I have no idea. Imagine that ain't going by so nicely. And what am I going to do? So I thought one of the people, one of the kids, maybe they were similar to the kids in the 80s, and maybe one of the kids maybe ended up taking it into their backpack, etc. However, our kids are all good. And this was when I was teaching in Wisconsin. Our kids will never, and every kid in our community, the rabbi only says good things about them. But I was missing the roll book, and here we are. I'm thinking one of the kids hushed it. I said, Uli, if one of you took it, how you doing? And of course, no one took it. And then I was a little nervous. Imagine all these mothers come and there's no roll book. So the Israeli teacher walks into my classroom. Rabbi, why are you upset? I said, because I'm missing the roll book in tonight's PTA. He says, say the prayer. I said, I'm not saying the prayer because I know it's here somewhere. She says, it doesn't cost money to say it. So I said it twice anyway. I said it, and 30 seconds later, 30 seconds later, after I say it, a girl knocks on my door with your roll book. Rabbi, is this your roll book? What do you do? Why had that happen? Because we switched classes in the afternoon and the morning. So I had it on my desk, and she Hazita, she had to fix her hair every 10 seconds and put on lip gloss. I mean, they are in third grade already. So she put her books on my desk. And when she picked up her books, Hazita, she picked up my roll book as well. And I got it back 30 seconds later. This item really works. There's another story that I saw crazy with my own eyes. I can't give too many details because we have to keep the privacy of the customers, as they say. However, for 29.99, we could work something out plus tax and plus a Lag BaOmer bonus. But I was once, when I was teaching in Wisconsin, there I was walking to school and I see a husband and wife in their car searching for something. They were searching so intense that it was like their legs were hanging out the window, looking on the floor upside down. And I walk by and I say, first of all, I usually don't walk down that street. I walked down another street, but I had to walk down that street because I was on the phone and the other street is was noisier. So I went down their street. That's coincidence number one. I see the legs hanging out of the window, Clemenza style, and I'm like, "What's going on over here?" So they stay. All of a sudden, the husband comes running out. Rabbi, don't ask. We lost something very, very precious. It was a diamond that wasn't just heck made in China, tariffs, no tariffs. It was a high roller diamond something. And they were looking, forget about it, with a lot of fervor, like we said, to make sure to find that item. Had he taken out insurance, maybe he wouldn't have looked with that much fervor. But anyway, they're looking for it. And I said, did you say the prayer? He says, Rabbi, help me say the prayer. He holds my arm. We say it word for word. I say, give me $1. We'll put it in the epa, put it in korach on the house, and say this dollar is for the B Meir Balanes, his merit. And you put it in the epa when you go to shul. And I said, El Had Meir Anenu, El Had Meir Anenu, El Had Meir Anenu. And all of a sudden, they didn't find it that second. But then I walked to school because in Wisconsin, if you're late, you get in trouble. And 10 minutes later, the wife decided to call a certain place that they visited 3 days prior. She didn't realize she lost it till this day that they're searching in the car. And the place where they went, let's say they were going to find a piece of property, and it was all mud. And if you remember a few years ago, it rained like crazy. It was like even Noah couldn't handle it, and he had to go to Florida. It rained for like few days, 3 days straight. It didn't stop raining. And she said maybe when they went to go check out the piece of property, the she dropped the diamond over there, and maybe we'll call the workers and see if they could find it. Now, don't forget, like I said, there wasn't grass there; it was mud. Imagine, and if it rains for 3 days, even a car could get swallowed up by the mud, let alone a diamond. And she called the worker, and not that we discriminate. We love everyone. Baruch Hashem, everyone has a good inside and a good soul. But it would have been the type of guy that someone might think to himself that even if the diamond is on someone's finger and they're in a dark alley themselves, it's possible that he would say, "That's my diamond," etc. So that's what kind of fellow it was. Not that we have those fellows in the tri-state area, and it was only one in the whole America at the time. and they call up the company. They send out that worker. It rained for 3 days. It was muddy. And the guy saw the diamond right there on top. It might be a miracle also that he said he found it. Yishtabach Shemo. So they gave him a few dollars for finding it. And the guy, that evening, I come home from school and there's a knock on my door and there's a bottle of whiskey or something and a couple of cigars. Not that I know what a cigar is, I know what a yebrat is, to say the least. Anyway, of course, if you knew my father, I knew what a cigar was by my wrist. God bless. But anyway, comes and he says, Rabbi, that prayer really worked. And he said, I feel guilty giving $1 for Rabbi Meir Balanes. He gave a bunch of tzedakah to Rabbi Meir Balanes. And Baruch Hashem, they made that phone call 10 minutes later. And there were so many reasons to say they're not going to find it. And they found it, believe it or not. So just by till today, these things work, Baruch Hashem. We have faith and we believe that everything comes from Hashem, then Hashem will help us find it with Berachah. Inshallah, we shouldn't even lose things to be able to be needed to put in the test, to realize that it's Hashem that helps us see everything in our lives. The main story where we get these words, Alahad Meir Aneni, where does it come from? Rabbi Meir Bal Hanes himself. When his sister-in-law, everybody knows Rabbi Meir's wife, her name was Berudia, and she had a sister that was kidnapped by the Roman soldiers, and they put her in a building where maybe some people do things that are improper, Shema Israel. And Berudia tells her husband, Rabbi Meir Balanes, make me a miracle for my sister. Go get her. And he said, a miracle will only work if she stayed pure and she didn't let any violations, Shema Israel, happen to her. And she said, there's no way my sister would let anything happen. And he goes to the prison and he tells the prison guard, there's a Jewish girl here, so and so. Says, yeah, she's so annoying. She's always sick. She doesn't, no one goes near her. And she's just a prisoner she became and nothing else. He realized that she will be fitting to have a miracle. He pulls out a nice sack of gold and he tells the guard, here you go, take this and give me the girl. And the guard said, that sounds nice, but you're going to get the girl. He's going to get the gold, but then they're going to find out who let her out and they're just going to kill the guard. So he says, what's the gold worth? If you see, even back then, people were able to focus on life. Today, some people might lose their life for focusing on the goal. But Baruch Hashem, we know everyone is focused on life for what's important. Long story short, the rabbi says to him, listen, you take this gold, give me the girl, and I'll give you the secret password. If anything isn't going your way, you say it and you will have miracles. And he said, yeah, tell me the password. And he says, Elahad Meir Aneni. And the goy repeated a few times, but the goy, maybe he had Jewish blood because he was reading the fine print. And he says to the Meir, how do I know it really works? There were a bunch of wild dogs in a little distance away from them. Rabbi Meir picks up a stone, throws it with all his energy towards them. When that happens, a guy could have a whole parade, Shema Yisrael, of dogs running towards him. And the dogs were running, and Rabbi Meir says, say those 3 words, say those 3 words. And he said the 3 words, Elad Meir Aneni, and the 3 dogs, bunch of dogs made an about face and ran away. And he saw that it really worked. He took the gold. He gave the rabbi the girl. She came home. Baruch Hashem. They did their research. One of the other guards snitched on this guard, and now they have to take him to hang him for letting a Jewish girl out. They take him to the gallows. They put a noose on his neck. And as the guy's about to put the lever, all of a sudden he says, Elahad Meir Aneni, and the guy who pulls the lever moved it on the spot. And they're like, whoa, that was a coincidence. So the second guy comes and he's about to pull the lever and he says it again, El Hadamir Anani, and he mooted and they realize something's going on. And they asked him, do you have some kind of black magic that you're doing? And they forced him to say the story. He said the whole story, so they let him live, but they put a bounty out for the rabbi. But thank you, Hashem, they never ended up finding the rabbi. And the other day, Monday, a Pesach Sheni, was the day of his yahrzeit. When you talk about a chacham 3 days before or 3 days after the yahrzeit, whenever you talk about them, it's a beracha. But especially near the yahrzeit, so we're still 3 days after, and Bezrat Hashem, his merit will be a blessing for all of us. Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach. He was a contemporary of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who we will celebrate his day of fasting tomorrow night with Lag BaOmer. Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach. Don't forget, tomorrow night, technically Friday, wait till Friday to shave if you waited this long and take a haircut, but there is what to rely on tomorrow night at 8:20, 8:25 and onwards. Usually Sephardic, the Sephardic people, they wait till Lamed Daled in the Omer, the 34th. However, this year Lamed Daled is on a Saturday. Therefore, Sephardic can also take a haircut and shave on Lag BaOmer, Bezrat Hashem. And by next year, there won't be any more mourning. We'll all be celebrating Bezrat Hashem in Yerushalayim Habnuyah. Couple halachot regarding the holiday. We know there's a concept of En Simha Ela Bebasar V'yayin. There is no, when the Torah says the word Simha, V'samachta B'chagecha, you shall celebrate on the holiday. What is celebrating? And our rabbis tell us it means having meat and wine on the holiday. And simha ela bebasar ve'yayin. So because of that, even more so on the holiday, more than Shabbat, believe it or not. Someone doesn't want to have meat on Shabbat, no problem, because on Shabbat it says v'karata l'Shabbat oneg. Technically, you don't have to have meat. It doesn't say v'samachta on Shabbat. It says it by the holidays. So on holidays, there's even more of a concept of having meat and wine, even more than Shabbat. With number one, on Shavuot, Bezrat Hashem, even though the custom is to have the canzones and the sambuske and the wara, and for all those who are watching on carbs, I'm sorry to make you in a mood for the carbs this fine morning. And of course, for dessert, the satlage fingers, Baruch Hashem, me'en olam haba. Long story short, we have dairy on Shavuot. So what do we do with the meat that you have to have on the holiday? The answer is you don't have to have meat on all the meals. First of all, in Eretz Israel, the holiday is only one day. Imagine they stay up all night Shavuot. They have a dairy meal in the morning, sleep till minha time because they stayed up, and then they have minha and they make Havdalah. The holiday's over. That's the good part about having 2 days holiday over here. Now, far away in Neverland, it could be that the people who might go to a certain summer resort neighborhood for Shabuot, so the kids might get mixed up between Memorial Day and Shabuot. What's the difference? Of course, we know to teach the children that Shabuot is the most important day of the entire Jewish calendar. Heaven and earth were only created just for the 6th day of Sivan. Yom Hashishi v'echulu hashamayim v'aretz v'chol tzva'am. The 6th day of Sivan, when we got the Torah, is when Hashem created Shamayim v'aretz v'chol tzva'am. So the most important day, and even though we have dairy, that, like I said, number one, it's good that we have 2 days. We're able to utilize the holiday a little more. There are some people, God bless, that stay up 2 nights in a row. Not bad, not bad. Baruch Hashem, may their merit be a blessing for all of us. But long story short, yes, we have dairy, but you should also have meat on the holiday. Havadya had a regular meat meal the night of the holiday. Then in the morning, staying up all night. By the way, for Hamavadya to stay up all night is as easy as it is for us to eat a sambuske. It was a no-brainer. Then after prayers, we had a dairy meal. We would go upstairs and eat with him a little dairy this, a little that. And then everyone went home. They took a nap. The rabbi, of course, went to go learn. And then in the afternoon, he had a regular meat lunch again. So there was only one dairy breakfast on the holiday of Shavuot. Hamadia says, nowadays, thank you Hashem that we have what we have, and we should always have with beracha. There's wine is more of a delicacy for the concept of simcha than meat is, because some people will have meat for dinner every night. I know some people, like I said, that are meeted at 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. God bless. Mashallah. Yishtabach Shemo La'ad. And I said, "You're meeting at 9?" He says, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm late. Usually it's at 8 o'clock. How you doing?" So we, Baruch Hashem, we have plenty of meat all over. And therefore, the wine concept, of course, responsibly, there's a concept of having meat and wine on the holiday, but just a little wine, nothing to write home about. We don't need 4 cups like Pesach time. And Bezrat Hashem, when we get closer to the holiday, we'll give more details. What if someone can have meat for whatever reason it is? They could have chicken instead. And if someone is a vegan totally, then it is what it is. But you tried your hardest. So we try to make simha in other ways. And we'll give more details as the holiday gets closer. But for today, we'll stop here and keep up the excellent work. Good things always. Hope everyone has the greatest day, and may we hear good news from Israel today and every day. Be'ezrat Hashem. Keep up the great work. All the best. Take care. Bye.